Yo, what is up, sports fans? It's your boy, the sports reporter without pay, and we are live on a Monday night. It's the Sports Arena, and y'all know it's the regular crew. We ain't got no special guests. We ain't got. I shouldn't even introduce everybody. Y'all know who it is, but we're gonna bring everybody in. We're gonna bring in John first because he ain't got a whole lot to talk about. But I'm sure John is gonna be
45-10
tonight. Look at him. He jumped right in talking crazy. That's what John do. That's what he do. And we got all the way from the left coast, the west coast, the mouth of the west. And that don't rhyme right, but we got Mike Cartanudo. What's up, man?
Man, I'm feeling good. My Sun Devils are in the Sweet 16 in volleyball. You're happy. John's somewhat happy. Eric's I'm just glad Eric's here.
Can I play something?
Stop.
I was going to ask you something.
Mike, don't ever bring up volleyball. Don't
come on, man.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We talk real sports
about it. I was giving him a shout out.
And last, but definitely not least, ladies and gentlemen, this is the look of a battered man. It's the look of a shattered man. This man is destroyed, right?
I'm just here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm in my feelings. I hear the music in the background. Y'all gonna try and get me excited. Y'all might just go on and cut that because it ain't gonna work.
Hey, listen, man.
Sorry, Eric. I just had to play a song for you. Sore subject?
I would just like to say, I don't know what song John just played. I don't know what that was. But again, we here, we live. We got Eric. Oh, yeah, they didn't fly very much. We got John, we got Eric, we got Mike, and your boy hosting the Sports Reporter Without Pay. So we're going to start off with a hot topic, right? We have to talk about it, the college football playoff.
Oh, Jesus.
And I will start with Mike, because Mike covers college sports, right? His Sun Devils, right? He covers more college than most of us do. And I'll pose this question to you, Mike. Did the college football playoff committee get it right?
Ray, I was hoping you'd ask that because I'm going to give one of my answers to what they've done throughout the history of the four teams.
Did you say one of your answers?
Yeah, one of my. I'm
going to give a Mike Cartanudo answer. Got it.
No, throughout the history, maybe except for the first season, but they've done what they've done in the past, and the fact that I have said to all of you guys, and Eric knows this a million times, there is 1,000,000% like everyone's saying, oh, the SEC getting a pass. Like for the top of every conference, there's the bottom of every conference. But in this instance, where Florida State goes 13-0, it's about winning games, not about a beauty contest. Just like the year, and it still is a sore spot for Eric too, because it pissed me off. Penn State whooped Ohio State, won the Big Ten, but yet Ohio State got in the playoff. Florida State won every damn game. Their second string
quarterback. So we can just throw it in the wound here tonight. I mean,
I'm not trying to throw salt. I'm still pissed about that too. But Florida State won every game, and since when it becomes about winning, if everybody's undefeated, Ray, it comes to yes, we have to match up their schedules, what their conference did again against all of the 12 directional schools that they played in non-conference play, and they all do it. And I've ripped the Pac-12 for doing it. Obviously ripped the SEC for doing it, but Florida State goes 13-0. Their backup quarterback, their second stringer, the kid is good. No, he's not Jordan Travis. We all know that. But Alabama winning, look, I'd rather see a two-loss, and it's not even just because it's Oregon. I'd rather see a two-loss Oregon in there than a freaking one-loss Alabama. You're telling me a 4th and goal, Ray, we talked a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line, how Alabama beat Auburn, a fling up in the air, and they go and beat Georgia. So you're telling me if they beat Auburn, that Georgia would have went off the loss. So I don't think they got it right. 3 teams are there that should be, yes. 1 team is not in Alabama. It should be Florida State.
I will say this, Mike. I was with you all the way up into the 2-loss Oregon thing. That threw me for a loop because
I'm just saying if you want to just go off of looks and sexiness, because Ray, what was the talk the last 2-3 weeks? Nobody wanted to play Oregon.
Again, I guess that's the most Mike Cartanudo-ish of answers, because I mean you led with it, the winning games matters, right? So I get it. You're caveating that saying that, hey, if we were gonna, but It's a lot of people going to be there before a 2-loss Oregon. You got a 1-loss Ohio State, whose only loss is against the number 1 team in the country. You got a 1-loss Georgia, whose only loss came at the very end of the year by 3 points to a team that's been in the national championship game 7 out of the last 10 years. So, like, it's a lot of teams that you could have got to before you got to the 2-loss.
I'm saying that's how ridiculous.
Oregon only lost to Washington.
That's my point, right? That's how ridiculous the committee has made this. It's a mockery. And now next year with 12 teams, yes, it'll be different. And I know this because 5 and 6 are always PO'd, but now 13, 14, and 15 will be PO'd next year. So
that's a stupid comment.
I mean, I'm saying that. Look, I think Georgia, even with the loss, I would have been more accepting, Ray, of to your point of what you just said, to Georgia over Alabama, and they put Alabama in and said, oh well, Georgia, you're gonna say, okay, they didn't play each other in the regular season. Yes, we know that, but that a lot of common opponents in which they both beat. Texas goes into Tuscaloosa, and that became the whole conversation. Well, Florida State has a 3rd-string quarterback now, and even if the 2nd-string plays, did anybody not watch? And I said this to Eric 2 weeks ago when we were off air. Eric, remember? Has anybody not seen Florida State's defense the whole season? Because I'll put them up against anybody's defense in the country or against anybody's offense.
I would like to say they're not Michigan's defense, but I get your point, right?
Okay, Michigan.
John,
right. Okay, sorry.
Let me ask you this, John, and I want to respond to this. Yeah, but Bomani Jones made an excellent point. The goal is to make good TV, not an undisputed champion.
Stephen A. said the same thing, and I got a problem with that. But when you get to me, I'll say what I got to say about that. I just
talk about it now, Eric. You done jumped in. Eric, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I know you got a lot.
Please go.
I know you got a lot.
Please go to John because I got a lot to say tonight. Just go to John. Just go ahead. No, John, please.
John,
take the floor, my brother.
Talk to me, John. So what is your take on the idea of right? I don't want to say the games don't matter, but we're not worried about an undisputed champ. We want the games to be good. Like a lot of people are bringing up last year, TCU losing 65-7 is what it was.
It doesn't matter. You didn't know that going into that game. Nobody knew that. I think to me, it's disingenuous to the kids that are on the roster of FSU that are not playing the quarterback position. Anybody on the roster, the coaches, none of them matter. You're telling me that FSU was never good. They're only good because they have a quarterback. Because you're telling me the rest of the roster, the rest of the coaching staff, none of it matters. Because you're telling me without their quarterback, they automatically don't count. Because they won I heard on the radio today, somebody said, well, FSU, they didn't do enough. And I'm like, what do you mean they didn't do enough? They won every single game.
What else are they supposed to do?
What else are they supposed to do? Win by 6.
John, real quick, it's because it's style points. If you don't put 55 up, then you didn't do enough. No, it's dumb. No, I agree with you.
If you don't lose a game and you're in a power conference like one of these conferences, then how are you out? I understand if it's like, no offense, I understand if it's like UCF or something crazy like their USF, one of those teams, I get it if you want to make a point. I still think it's stupid. But this is FSU. They're in the ACC. The ACC matters. So if you go undefeated in the ACC, I mean, Michigan goes undefeated and they're in. Like, what do we? No, I'm just saying, like, why does ACC not count? Why does it not matter?
Next time, use Washington to make your point.
I'm just saying,
come on,
one of these other conferences that had an undefeated team, they got theirs in. So just because you lose your quarterback, like, you don't know if their defense would have stepped up, if the run game would have stepped up, if somebody else would have stepped up. You know what I mean? Like, we saw in the national championship, like, Tua came in and he won them a national championship for Alabama a couple of years ago. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Nobody knew that was going to happen. Like, you don't know. You can't just say that FSU wouldn't have done anything. We have no idea. And I think it's disingenuous to all the kids on that team and all the coaching staff to just say you don't count if you don't have a quarterback. I just think that's wrong. Because you don't care about the kids. Like, if you're doing that, you don't care about the kids.
John, they said you don't count in a nice way. They said they're not the same team. But, like, to your point, there's nobody else.
But listen,
this isn't basketball.
Right? I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Comments like this, right? Shout out to Darnell, Playmaker Sounds like, and he puts out some great content. He does writing pieces. He does pop. In fact, he's been on the show. Shout out, bro.
It mattered when Clemson was relevant.
Yeah, but I think the point he's trying to make is, regardless of the conference you're in, right? being in a Power 5, what he's saying is he's using the ACT because that's who it is. But he's saying it doesn't matter if you're Power 5. The committee's job is to get the best 4 teams. My problem with that is this is sports. You have to play the game, right? If a team goes out and wins every game, you can't then tell me after they've won every single game that you ain't doing enough. You didn't look good enough while doing it for my liking. You won every single game, but I still don't quite believe you. What the hell is the point in playing the games then? If I'm going to go out and I'm going to win every single game in a Power 5 conference, I'm going to get to the championship game and I'm going to beat Louisville without my quarterback. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know losing your starting quarterback was an indictment. I didn't know that when Ohio State lost 2 quarterbacks, Ricardo Jones didn't win a national championship. I didn't know that last year when 2 quarterbacks went out, that Brock Purdy didn't win 7 games in a row. I didn't know that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. I don't know since what you looking at, Mike? Am I lying about something?
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you.
The look on your face made it look like I said something. Oh no, right? Like I don't understand where it's like you lost your quarterback. We just don't think you're good enough. Forget that you won the game. But the thing is, we've been seeing this. If y'all recall, a few years ago when the playoff first came out, TCU was sitting at number 3 going into championship week,
and they went out. And Baylor was at 5.
Whatever happened,
yeah.
TCU went out and won their championship game like 55-12, something ridiculous. Don't get me on the exact numbers.
Right.
And they dropped.
Yep.
They dropped. It's the committee's way of saying we're gonna put who we want to put in there.
Yep.
Right. Alabama's track record shouldn't matter. Playing in the SEC shouldn't matter. And let's put this on the record because Ray's a Michigan fan. People go, you just didn't want to see Alabama. That's irrelevant. If it was Washington at number 1, I would say the same thing.
Yep.
If you want some honest fandom, would I rather play Florida State or Alabama? Florida State, the easier game. That's not the point. The point is Florida State did what they're supposed to do to get there. In what sport do you actually win games and then people go, what? Imagine if when Carson Wentz was having an MVP season, he went out and they went, well, Philly don't get the same seed no more because it's not the same team without Carson Wentz. And then they're going to win a Super Bowl. How does that work? In what sport do you punish a team for injuries? In what sport do you get to say, I know you won your games? Hell with that.
College football. College football has been that has been college football's MO from the beginning. I agree with everything all y'all said. And I've listened to everybody today talking about it's a business. No, it's a sport. I get the whole booster things and the money that's getting thrown in, and the SEC is the only conference that, as people are saying in the comments, seems to matter. But what do we talk about each and every week in the NFL when a team has a 5-game win streak or a team goes 9-1 or whatever? What do we say about that team? You play who you are scheduled to play. They don't make their own schedule. The schedule is given to them. You play who you are slated to play. And if you are successful, then you should be rewarded. But Eric, what the college, what?
They do make their schedules. They do.
The non-conference schedule, they have a big say in. But I get your point.
Okay, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, let's just take the Power 5, okay? The SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, okay? Within that realm, they have their slated schedule of conference play. You are slated to play who is on your schedule. Now, your outside stuff, that's fine. You give it a MAC or another lower tier, if you will, conference, an opportunity to get some playing time on national television. I understand all that. Good for you. You put another brick in your house in heaven, whatever. My point is, at the end of the day, what do we want? We want the best teams in the college football playoffs, which means if your schedule, there is a 0 on that right-hand side, you should that I'm not saying it should be an automatic bid, but damn it, how else are we supposed to say that we are truly incentivizing these teams to go out and put their best foot forward when at the end of the day, it's about making money? You got 12,000 bowl games. I'm surprised the sports arena ain't been called up and said, yo, y'all want a bowl game? I mean, damn. My point is, and listen, y'all know I'm a Penn State guy, okay?
Sorry.
But if Penn State would have went undefeated and we didn't get in, I'd be even more pissed off than I already am this evening here tonight on the Sports Arena. But for Florida State, because the backup quarterback, John hit the nail on the head. What you said to those other college athletes, some of them who are going to move on, whether they get drafted to the NFL or they go on about their life, what you're basically saying to all of them is, we don't care about you. One man made the difference as to why Florida State was not given permission, basically, to be in the college championship.
Ray, let me ask
one man.
Hold on, real quick. I got you, Mike. I'm gonna come to you. Here's my thing, Eric. I don't even think that's true. I don't.
How is it not true?
Hold on. I think we don't get to sit in the room, right? We don't get to sit in the room. We don't understand it. I'm saying I don't think that's true, but I'm still agreeing with you. I'm not really refuting any points you made besides this. It's what the media has chosen to take and run with. That, they lost their quarterback, that's why. They was looking for a reason to put an SEC team in, right? Like Florida State, you're undefeated. You should be in a win and you're in predicament. We look great in our win, right? If you watch the game, the final score us against Iowa, it looked dominant. But if you watch the game, we got the ball in some very advantageous positions based off turnovers. They defense had us stifled all game. Go look at the numbers. Iowa defense just as good as Michigan's, right? It was a defensive battle all game, but we got bumped up to number one, right? Alabama barely beat Georgia, but Georgia's number one, so it looks like it's a good win, right? Florida State was the only team coming in championship week where it's like, not only do you got to win, you got to go out and win extremely impressively for us to believe enough in you. Forget the fact that you was 12-0 already. You got to go out and be extremely impressive. They lost their quarterback was the reason that people can give now to justify them putting Alabama in. I want to address this real quick because somebody said it. Why is Texas in when they lost to Oklahoma? Again, it was 3 undefeated teams in the Power 5. You had Michigan, you had Washington, and you had Florida State. They should have been in. Next, it basically comes down to Texas and Alabama. Those are the other two
Texas
Power 5
beat Alabama,
right? And Texas beat Alabama. It's
So
just
that-
that simple, right? Here's my biggest beef with this, Eric. College football lied to us year after year during the BCS. Teams like Boise State, right? That they said, well, they didn't have this, they didn't have that, and you can only get teams again, right? You only get 2 teams. So if you got 2 undefeated teams or even a 1-loss team, you go, hey, like Boise State. The college football playoff was supposed to fix this. Now we're going to give you 4 teams. Somebody said earlier 12 is too many. Here's the thing. No. When you had 2 teams 3 and 4 are going to feel like they got hosed. When you have 4, now you have situations like this year. Florida State and Georgia both believe they belong to be in. As a matter of fact, Ohio State probably think they had a case too. Hey, we won every game except for 1, and this is the number 1 team in the country. And it was we lost by 3 to the number 1 team in the country. Why ain't nobody saying our name? That's what an Ohio State fan is saying, right? But if you do 6, guess what? 7 and 8 gonna be like, what about us? When you do 12, 13, and 14, gonna have a problem. So it doesn't matter. It's always gonna be issues. But this issue should never happen. The only way an undefeated team in a Power 5 conference should be left out if it was 4 other undefeated teams in a Power 5 conference. Yep. That's the only way we should be having this conversation. Had Georgia beat Alabama and Texas hadn't lost to Oklahoma, I could see Florida State being out.
Yeah.
They won every single game and you left them out because you felt like it. That's a travesty. It's a travesty to the sport of football, man. It really is. So listen, I see y'all in the comments. Bama needed a miracle touchdown. Listen, but you know what? I will say this is the last comment I'm making on this. Everybody is going, oh, well, Bama barely such and such. We can't revert to that argument because that's the same argument against Florida State is where you didn't look impressive. We can't say, we can't use the same argument against Alabama because they do have the most impressive win, right? Like of the teams left, they beat Georgia, right? So I really think it's bad. It's bad. This should not have happened. Again, they told us the college football playoff was going to fix this. It has not. What we are going to do, take a break, pay some bills. I am looking for it. We are going to show some love to my guy, Mr. Tyree himself.
It don't even matter.
But they dropped 7 on you and they should have had 10.
Man, stand by. You can't drop 10 on me, so that's all that matters. I just hold on. Now hit a nigga, right? Before we play, you was fouled, Avery. You fouled me twice. Yeah! Welcome back. Season 3.
Shout out to my guy, Say What Said Again, Mr. Tyrus Ray himself. That boy doing some big things too, man. Tyree Media is all over the place. Say What Said Again, doing their thing. Chuck's Choices, James, Mr. Who He Played For himself, and my guy, every career over. Let's get the crew back. Mr. John Shear, Mr. Michael Cartenuto, and this battered and beaten and bruised man right here. This is, oh man, look, that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, that is the face of a man. He's scorned. His soul is hurting, and the reason his soul is hurting, ladies and gentlemen, if I can go back earlier to the comments, the first comment that we got was this one right here, and that comment comes from Mr. Mike Patton himself. He says, "Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to talk about a regular season beatdown." Now, myself, I'm a Lions fan, right? We lost the game to Green Bay, and the whole world wanted to talk crazy about us. Mike, your team, the Dallas Cowboys, had a very embarrassing loss to the Arizona Cardinals. John, who did y'all lose to? That was kind of
we ain't lose, man. We're the number 1 seed in the AFC right now.
John, don't say we didn't lose. You're not undefeated. See, this is what
we didn't lose this week.
I'm not talking about this week. I just said my team lost to Green Bay a little while ago. Mike and them lost to Arizona. I'm talking through the course of the season, losses that weren't supposed to happen.
We're 9-3.
Now, I don't think anybody had a problem with San Francisco going out and beating Philadelphia. In fact, Philadelphia started the game off 6-0, and it looked like this is going to be a knock them down, drag them out type of war. And then the rest of the game happened. Then Christian McCaffrey happened. Then Brandon Ayuk happened. Then Deebo Samuel happened again and again, and Brock Purdy lit y'all up, and y'all offense couldn't get it going. So I think it's only right to come to you first, Eric. I know you're going to talk as a fan, but even as a sports analyst, if you could squeeze some really big, like, what was your takeaway from yesterday's game?
We suck. What you want me to say?
Oh,
we lost. That's all that happens. Nothing more needs to be said. We did not win. That's all that happened. We didn't win. I'm not going to sit here and give you any excuses. Not going to sit here and give you any kind of, if this, then that. No. At the end of the day, and you know what? Shout out. And I'm doing a shout out because he is a Sun Devil, Jerry. Brandon Ayuk with the first touchdown of the game. When I saw that happen, I knew what time it was. The first touchdown of the game. I got nothing for you, man. Philadelphia, on all phases of the game yesterday, lost. When you I watched that game last night in its entirety, and I watched the highlights this afternoon. And it's very evident. Excuse me. San Francisco is just a better team. That's it. Shout out to the big guard. Okay. Shout out to my man Mike Coulter out in Austin, Texas. Shout out to one of my bosses, Billy, who's a huge San Fran fan. San Francisco is the best team in the NFL. Not Dallas, not Kansas City, not Miami, not Philadelphia, not Detroit, not Green Bay. I'll run down the list. Rest in peace to Nick Sable, because he used to say this about the New England Patriots. He used to say there are 31 teams in the NFL, and then there's the New England Patriots. I'm going to say it again in honor of him. There are 31 teams in the NFL, and then there are the San Francisco 49ers, because when they are clicking on all cylinders, they got a power. You want to talk Power 5? They got a Power 5. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy. When those 5 men are on the field, ain't nobody stopping them. Congratulations to the 49ers.
I would just like to say, all that sounded like to me was a big old slice of humble pie served up. Because if my memory serves me, and I don't normally get on Eric like this, but if my memory serves me correct, Eric said, "Now he out here dissing my team like it ain't the line." Eric told me 2 weeks ago the only team he feared in the playoffs was my Detroit Lions. Didn't care about the San Francisco 49ers, and now they're clearly, unequivocally the best team in the league. Why? Because they smack your head. They don't make. I mean, first off, they might be like, but you don't get no, sir.
I said to the playoffs. I fear you. I do. I don't take that back. I said what I said, and I meant what I said.
Okay.
I feel that if you put the San Francisco 49ers up against the Detroit Lions, based on what I have seen, because think about it like this, right? And Mike, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do this because it's the all dig I'm gonna get. San Francisco, when they played Dallas, they put a 40 burger. They did the same thing to Philadelphia. Okay, so I still fear the Detroit Lions in the postseason. Why? Because they ain't been there. They hungry. Detroit's on a when we talking, we're not at the playoffs. When we get to the playoffs and your team amps up to that next level, then you, sir, as a fan, will understand where what I have seen and what I know.
The Lions better stop struggling with the Bears, the Packers, and the Saints in consecutive weeks. I'm just saying.
First off,
sorry, it's just been. I just can't let that go. They've been struggling.
I'm gonna say this once to you, and I'm gonna say it to you for the last time. So open your ears and close your lips. Okay. When it comes to divisional matchups, John Shear, you, Mike, Ray, Ty, Megan, we all know this. Anything and everything is possible. When you play a team twice a year consistently, you learn those little intricacies. You learn those things that separate good from bad and also worse from great. Okay?
All right, but
so
the
Lions, of course,
Saints.
They're going to have issues with the Bears and the Packers and the Vikings. Why? Because you see them twice a year. You're in the same conference. The same way you, sir, your Miami Dolphins, have an issue with Buffalo and the Jets in New England. Maybe not this year, but in years past, you have had issues with them, John, even when on paper you were the better team. Okay?
We're talking this year.
Hey, John.
Lions struggle with the Saints, man.
John, let's stay on topic for a second because we're not talking about the Lions. Not
Thank
this
you.
very minute we aren't. What I would like from you, John, is a sports analyst. Like, I want John, the sports analyst, to talk to me about you saw in that game yesterday. I know you want to give Eric the business, right?
Good luck.
But I really want to.
That's what I'm here for.
Hey, do your thing, but I really want to know, like, as a sports analyst, I want to know what you saw from that game. Like, is San Francisco just that much better than Philly, or was it just a bad night for Philly? Right?
No, I think it was Greg Olsen was. I mean, he's Fox's #1 team for their commentators, and he pointed it out. He kept saying, "I would like to see Jalen Hurts go through his progressions and stay in the pocket, and not." And he was right, because it really hit me in the head when he said that. He said every time he goes through his progressions, he rolls out to the right. And I don't know if you guys noticed that in that game, but he kept doing it. He would not stay in the pocket.
In the game. Yeah.
And he wouldn't stay in the pocket and trust his receivers and trust the progressions and trust the routes. He had to roll out and try and extend the play. And he had all the time in the world in the pocket. And Greg Olsen's right. Like, Jalen Hurts, like, and he had an opportunity to run plenty of times, and he just stood there, and then he'd roll out, stand there, roll out, and then he ended up throwing it away or take a sack, or he'd run like Michael Vick. He'd run all the way back, run all the way around, and then he'd throw it away. Like, I don't know what was going on with Jalen Hurts, but he just did not look comfortable, and the line held up really well. Like, the line gave him a lot of time to throw. Mike, against the San Francisco 49ers, they held up really well. It wasn't like they were collapse in the pocket right away. The line was holding up pretty well, and then he would just roll out and do what inexperienced quarterbacks do. He's not inexperienced, but he would do what inexperienced quarterbacks do and rush out of the pocket instead of trusting it. I saw that. And the Eagles, I looked at their stats yesterday. They're one of the worst pass defenses in football, and they got exposed, and they've been getting exposed in that regard. And their linebackers were a problem yesterday. A big problem. They went and got Shaq Leonard, which is huge for them to fix because linebackers are an issue. I really don't trust their defense. To make a long story short, Ray, I really don't trust their defense They can stop the run, but they have no idea how to stop the pass. They've been getting burned a lot. It's going to be a big issue if they play the Lions or the Niners. These teams that can throw the football, the Cowboys, you're going to see it on Sunday night, Eric. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb, that offense, go to town through the air. They're going to do it again because the Eagles cannot stop the pass. They're one of the worst in football. So that's what I saw, Ray, is they have no idea how to stop the pass. And I don't like their game plan defensively. I don't like their defensive coordinator. It's a big issue that we're not talking about.
All right, Mike. So as the other guy on this panel, you got me, you got Eric, and you. It's our three teams at some point have to see if you want to win. It looks like all roads are going to go to or through San Francisco. Even if it might go through Philly, but it looks like right now, after what we saw last night, the San Francisco is the team that everybody's going. They are who we thought they were.
We ain't going through San Fran yet. I'm sorry. We lost the game yesterday. You know what changed about our seating in the playoffs? Absolutely nothing.
I just said that. First off, I said it may go through. I said it may go through Philly, meaning the city. But right now, San Francisco is the team everybody's looking at.
Okay, you can look at them. You can look at them all day long. You can look at them all day long, but here is the fact.
And home field
you
doesn't
can look
even
at
matter.
them all day long, but the fact of the matter still remains.
The best team in the league.
Okay, I know what I said about them, and I'm not changing that. But what I'm saying to you is, did seeding change because of the loss last night? No. So as of right now, in order to get to Las Vegas in the NFC, you got to come to Philly. Until that changes, it has stayed the same. Yes, we lost. We got our asses beat last night. I take nothing away from what happened.
Eric, would you like it if I change the verbiage? Right? Because if the question is in the NFC, who's the team to beat? Who's the answer to that question?
The team to beat is San Francisco.
That's what I mean by going through San Francisco. I don't mean the city. I mean, you got to go through that team to win. But I get it, Eric, man. Like right now, you know what? Talk about it, man. Come sit on the couch. Come sit on the couch.
Like I told y'all, I'm gonna try and be the professional. But see, tonight I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. It's one of them things that when you get beat down the way we got beat down yesterday by the San Francisco 49ers, I'm gonna tell you right now, it hurts. It hurts to my core. The only thing that hurts worse is losing to Dallas, which unfortunately, that's my consolation prize for getting my ass whipped to San Francisco. Now I got to go Sunday night into Jerry World to face Dallas. Really? That's what I got to do? Not me, but y'all know who I'm talking about. So it just pains me right now to know that I have asked Philadelphia for the last several years to do two things for me. Be consistent and beat the Cowboys. Yesterday, we were not consistent. And now we have to go in and prove ourselves against our mortal enemy. The team that every week, y'all already know, every week, and I keep getting comments. Everybody's like, why are you picking them? Why are you so hateful against them? I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. If y'all ain't figured that out by now, I don't know what else to tell you. There is nothing about the Dallas Cowboys that I like. I have nine people in my life. Two of them do this show with us. One of them I've known for 18 years. He stayed at my house. I stayed at his house. And outside of our football teams, that man knows on any given day he could call me and I got his back. But when it comes to Dallas and it comes to Philadelphia, with respect to the NFL, I hate the Cowboys. That's all there is to it. Nothing more needs to be said. You can call me stubborn. You can call me an ass. You can call me narcissistic, egotistical. I don't care what you want to call me. But understand this. I do not and will not pick the Dallas Cowboys. Just so happens. So get used to it, people. Okay? I'll wrap it up for you. Very simply like this. Let's see what happens Sunday night. But again, as I've said, and I will say it for the last time tonight here on the Sports Arena, congratulations to the 49ers.
I would just like to say that may be the best moment ever in the history of the Sports Arena with the Fleet playing in the background. Mike, I don't think we heard from you yet.
No. There's a lot that John said, and always makes me defend two teams, and I want to vomit when I do it.
Please go ahead.
Everybody
go to South Philly.
Everybody picked on Philly early. I was defending them with Eric saying, I don't care. They're running the ball. If you can't stop the damn run, you're not going to win in the playoffs, because when they get to the playoffs, fine, chew up the clock. See if you get your offenses on the field. Yesterday was the first two drives looked really good for Philly on offense and defense, because the Niners got off the field. Yes, as we know, that the Eagles didn't get in the end zone. It's 6-0, and then there's 6 straight possessions. The Niners sit there and score. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. When they have everybody healthy, yes, this probably is the toughest offense. This season, I'm not giving it a Lifetime Achievement Award. People need to focus on this season. They have everybody healthy. Obviously, McCaffrey, like you said, because inevitably, we talk MVPs and quarterback awards, but I mean, everything McCaffrey can do and does, like there. Brock Purdy. Everybody's saying, they lost 3 in a row. He's banged up. Can, he come back? Blah, blah, blah. Brock Purdy looks fine. Obviously, what Kittle does. Deebo Samuel is the animal that he was, and even a bigger animal, Ray, because less is more. And we talked about it even last season. Like, once McCaffrey got there, like, he doesn't have to be that running back in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And when he does take those reverses, he's still fresh. Like, Deebo's a freaking animal. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no great matchup. If you put – you can put corners on him that can cover him, but then to your point, Ray, and like Eric said with the touchdown, who are you putting on Ayuk? And then if you have a linebacker that's too slow to get out to Kittle, well, you're screwed. So, it just keeps going and going with that offense. And Kyle Shanahan, the puppet master, and this is where I vomit defending big guards team, like the puppet master calling those plays. Now, the one thing the Niners, and they do have McCaffrey, yes, they can run the ball. As you start, to your point, going towards the playoffs, you still need to run the ball in the playoffs, because Greg Olsen talked about that yesterday too. He's like, you go crazy passing, but it still shifts in the playoffs. Yes, the Niners are going to be a very tough out. After they whooped the Cowboys by 40, kind of helped the winning streak. People say, these games, and they haven't beat, like we say with college, you play who's in front of you. It's still the NFL. For the Niners to do that on the road, yeah, it's a big thing. It is huge for them. Philly's still number one. And yeah, their defense had their moments against San Fran, which unfortunately, people look at it, you want to play it out, 10 times, whatever, 20 times. Like, there's those advantages. Fully healthy, they are a bear. If you can keep their offense off the field, which again, you go to that defense, and yeah, Jalen Hurts had time. And there were times Greg Olsen was, when he said it, and in the beginning of the game, I agree with you, John, he was, but there were times if you didn't see the pass rush or how the pocket was collapsing, he had to get out of the pocket. No one's going to stand in the pocket against the Niners. No one. For a whole game, you ain't going to stand there. And if you do stand there, they're going to thank you, because that defensive line is going to kill you. They made a trade for Chase Young. He's obviously very happy now that he's out of that train wreck that your team destroyed yesterday. But the Eagles, I'm not going to count them out of it as much as it pains me. They can still run the ball. Yes, it is a bad loss. The Cowboys have whittled off 5 in a row after getting trashed by the Niners, and the Niners make you see what your problems are. To answer your question, Ray, yes, to rematch against them, that's going to be tough. Even before we get to any teams get to the playoffs. Obviously, Dallas still has to play Philly, like Eric said. They're playing this Sunday on Sunday night. The Cowboys still have your Lions too. So, that's the exciting part to me. It's nerve-wracking, but it's exciting. But I will say this, with the Niners, definitely how the Lions have played, the Eagles, and yes, the Cowboys defensively, those teams can all give each other problems. But solving the Niners offense, to me, is it fully healthy is the biggest problem of those 4 teams.
So I thought about this last night as I was watching this game, right? Offensively, just offensively. If Brock Purdy had another name, like if Brock Purdy was, if this was Justin Herbert, if this was Josh Allen, this was Patrick Mahomes, we would be saying that San Francisco has one of the most potent offenses we've ever seen. I don't recall, just offense. Here's the thing. Offensively, I've seen, we saw the greatest show on turf. We saw Peyton Manning with Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison with
Edgerrin James,
and then a die after that, right?
Yeah.
We saw, the West Coast, San Francisco back in the day with Montana and Rice. We saw Mahomes with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, right? Offensively, we've seen, but I think right now, they're the most complete team offensively. Just offensively. Let's start there. With Brock Purdy, with Christian McCaffrey, with Brandon Ayuk, with George Kittle, with Deebo Samuel, right? Here's what's crazy. I don't think we've ever seen a team that is this good offensively. And then when you come on the field, you got to deal with Chase Young, Fred Warner, both. Yo, I don't recall in my adult lifetime seeing a team that I thought was this complete, where you look and you go, okay, we're going right on the board. How do we attack this team? What's the weakness? They ain't got none.
Their corners are a big issue. Big issue.
John, it's one game, and I'm not.
They don't have any problems.
Look what Tre'Davious White did against AJ Brown last night. Like he got physical with a bigger guy.
Remember, a couple weeks ago they lost to Funga, so that's a giant loss, and their corners are a big issue.
He's not a corner. He's a safety.
No, I understand that, but they lost him, and their corners are an issue. They had trouble stopping Devonta Smith yesterday, and they had trouble stopping AJ Brown. When he got physical with them, they couldn't handle him.
I don't know about that. And I'll say this much, Sean. Let's say if you go, I think that's a weakness, right? You ever heard of a coverage sack? Right? It's where the coverage was so good downfield that forget that the pass rush wasn't great. They still got there because the coverage was so good, right? That works the other way too. When your defensive line is putting the kind of pressure these boys put on, the corners ain't got to do their job very long. Right? Like that front, man, I was watching, man, listen, they're different, yo. They're different, right? Like, again, man, if this team had any quarterback with any kind of name notoriety, people would be writing their name on the Lombardi Trophy right now. Right now. Like, Brock Purdy's the one thing in that offense that you're like, I don't know, right? And even if we say the Bucs with Brady, that offense wasn't this. That offense was Brady, and then you got Mike Evans and Godwin, right? And we got Antonio Brown. He quit halfway through the season. Gronk was there, and they got Fournette. Fournette ain't no Christian McCaffrey. You mean like as good as that Tampa Bay offense was, they weren't this, right?
Yeah.
I would even go so far. I like the Rams a couple years ago, where you got Leonard Floyd, you got Aaron Donald, you got Jalen Ramsey on the defensive side of the ball. They went and picked up Von Miller, right? And then on the offensive side of the ball, you got Stafford, you got Cooper Kupp. They picked up OBJ. Like, I would even go. Point being, this team is super complete. They're going to be extremely difficult to beat, man. They're going to be tough. And it's coming from you talking about three guys right now on this panel that if you want to see the Super Bowl, we're going to see. You got to see them at some point, right? Unless we all get lucky and the same thing happens that happened last year and their quarterback don't have an arm, right? Like that. Like, I mean,
that's terrible.
This makes you feel like, for all the San Francisco fans last year, it was like, man, if our quarterback was, it make you feel like, well, they wasn't lying. You know what I mean? Like, bro, they running through.
Well, and to your point about MVP, Ray, like they were saying today,
we didn't get there yet. We coming there.
Oh no, I was going to say.
Can I ask a question? Okay. Can I ask a question about the Niners about that? All right. So if the Eagles win the division, right, Cowboys will be the 5 seed. They'll play that god-awful division that's NFC South. They'll run right through whoever wins that division. So they'll most likely be the lowest seed remaining. They'll play the 1 seed. The Lions would play the 3 seed or 2 seed. Whoever, if the Lions don't get to 2, they'll get to 3. Because the Lions probably won't get 1. So Mike, who would you rather have that 1 seed and you have to go to in the second round because you roll through Atlanta or whoever? Who would you rather have there? Would you rather have San Francisco at that 1 seed and you have to go into their house after they have a bye, or would you rather have Philly after they have a bye and you go into their house? Because that's what's going to happen.
No,
Dallas is going to have to go into the 1 seed's house. They'll be the lowest seed remaining, and it'll be 2 and 3.
Okay, but here's the thing, John. Hold on. We don't know what that 6-3 matchup's going to be like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah. And I think
you don't think the Lions are going to. I'm just assuming the Lions.
Okay, all right. So you're saying the Lions are going to get the 3 seed is what you're saying. You're saying either San Fran or Philly is going to have the 1 and 2, San Fran's going to have the 3. That's what you're saying.
The problem is
Lions
right
have
now,
3, and
they're
then
both
those
9-3. I mean, obviously the Niners and the Lions are both 9-3. And you look at, when you look at schedules, I mean, what the Lions are done with the Bears, right, Ray? They're done with the Bears. They got the Vikings one more time.
They play the Bears one more time. They go to Chicago this week.
Oh, so they have the Bears this week.
Yep.
Okay.
They play the Vikings twice.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, but I just seen these 2 comments.
Yeah, it looks like his ankle. It looks like it was an ankle.
I want to say this, man, and y'all know me. I get on here and I try and leave my fandom out of it, right? But the amount of disrespect that's being thrown the Detroit Lions' way, like all I heard last night after San Francisco won was, well, now San Francisco's only 1 game behind Philly, and Philly got Dallas coming up, and it was all about San Francisco, and they kept saying, "Yeah, you got Philly and Dallas right there. You got Dallas and Philly right there. Philly and Dallas right." Hello. If the playoffs started today,
Detroit's the 3 seed if they started today.
Yeah, like put some respect on our name, dog.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, like again, just like with the whole Florida State thing, like people go, "Oh, it was tough." Man, these are professional NFL teams, right? We went out there and was smoke checking New Orleans. Guess what? They did what professional players do. They start playing hard.
Thank you.
Right? Like good teams, stuff like Philly's not a bad team after yesterday. They just got smoke checked. Dallas not a bad team because they got smoke checked by Arizona and San Francisco. Like good teams lose, right?
Smoke check.
Yeah. All right. So listen, we're gonna take one more break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. We're about 3/4 of the way through the season, so we're gonna talk some 3/4 season awards, mainly the MVP. So we're gonna pay some bills. Stay tuned. Y'all see what it is. That's the boy, the sports reporter I'll pay. Ball don't lie, all basketball, all the time. As this football season winds down, we are going to kick off Ball Don't Lie Season 2. Be on the lookout for that. Your boy be talking this stuff. We got the crew back. We got Eric. We got Mike. We got John. Hey, this is like the 3rd comment that Mike made about the Lions pass rush. I'll tell you something that's interesting, right? It's almost like our pass rush isn't awful. It's finishing the job. Like if you go look at the numbers, we're middle to the bottom of the pack in actual sacks, but we're second in the NFL in hurries. Yep. We're second in hurry percentage. Like we're getting to the quarterback. We're forcing people out of their first reads. We're forcing quarterbacks to get rid of the ball quicker than they wanted to. So the pass rush is fine. It's finishing the job, which is, I guess that's a weird kind of interesting thing to lead the NFL or be. I think we're tied for first actually in hurries and hurry percentage. So again, we're forcing quarterbacks out of the pocket. We're forcing quarterbacks to get rid of the ball quicker than they want to. We're forcing them to throw it on their first. They're not getting to their second and third progressions against us, but we're not getting a lot of sacks.
Speaking of finishing the job, just like Philly didn't finish the job, Tennessee didn't finish their job yesterday. So I'll say it, Mike Patton.
They get their ass kicked next Monday night.
No, they didn't get their ass.
I would just like to say
next Monday night they will.
I would like to say Mike Patton covers the Titans, but Mike Patton is a 49ers fan.
I know he does.
That's why he was on here talking about dearly beloved. So I'm going to kick it off with this, right? We're going to talk some 3/4 of the season MVP, right? And this is the first time in a long time that I can remember. If the sports reporter without pay did an MVP ballot today, I don't have a quarterback at 1 or 2. Right? The 2 most valuable players in the NFL so far this season, right now, are clearly Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. And I don't think it's even relatively close. I don't think anybody else is close to those 2. If you look at the numbers, just on receiving yards, there's not another receiver within 300 yards of Tyreek Hill. And there's not a running back within 200 yards of Christian McCaffrey. And then those two are 1 and 2 in all-purpose yards. It's about 20 yards between them, and nobody else was in like 200 and some change yards of the two of them. Like, they are the epitome of their offenses go as they go, which is really more impressive for Tyreek Hill because Christian McCaffrey's doing it two ways. He's running the ball, he's catching the ball. He scored like an insane amount of touchdowns since he's been in San Francisco, right? But for a receiver, when you come into the game and it's like, all right, we know, you go, what do we not want to happen? We don't want to let Tyreek Hill get loose. We want to contain the cheetah, right? We want to bracket him, put somebody over, don't let him get, and he still goes in every game and does it, right? Like that, like that's crazy. Where it's like, I know what you want to do. I know Mike want to get 30. Let's box in one. Let's zone. Let's double team. Don't matter. I know Kobe gonna shoot it 30 times and he's still gonna drop 81. I know Steph want to shoot 3, but he's gonna shoot it. I know they're gonna try to get Tyreek Hill in open space and bust out big plays, and he does it every week, man. It's crazy. And San Francisco, man, they're like, you saw it last night there. And then what happens when you try to stop Christian McCaffrey? Well, Brandon Ayuk get loose. Debo Samuels get loose. George Kittle gets loose. But it all starts with Christian McCaffrey. So that's who I have right now, man. I think McCaffrey does have 17 touchdowns. I think that's just rushing. It might be total touchdowns.
He's got 12 rushing, Ray.
Okay. But, I mean, he's been phenomenal, man. So that's what I have.
Raheem Mostert has the same amount of touchdowns, but, nobody's going to mention that.
Listen, man. He's not Christian McCaffrey. Let's call a spade a spade.
Don't even go there.
I'm just saying, if you're going to mention touchdowns, don't ignore my guy.
We look, John. Nothing's ever enough for you. I started off with your guy. I started off with Tyreek Hill. Now you want to talk about the running back, John? There was a point this season where he didn't look like the best running back on his team.
He might not be. That's testament to how good our team is. Our running backs are.
Talk to me, Eric. We 3/4 of the way through the season, right? A lot of people, with wins and losses and it being a quarterback's award. Your guy, Jalen Hurts, was in the running. People, threw Goff's name in there. Purdy's name is in there. Mahomes has been quietly kind of doing what Mahomes does, but not at the level we've seen before. But they were winning games, right? But it feels like it's wide open. Who jumps to the top of your ballot?
No, it's not. There's only one person who is the MVP this year, and you said it. It's Tyreek Hill. There is nobody. There's nobody else. You can put up all the numbers, the stats, and everything else you want to put up. The question was asked earlier today, is it more Tua or is it Tyreek? It's Tyreek Hill. I give all love to Tua and what he's able to do. Great man. Had the privilege of meeting him last year in Arizona. You know what I mean? But what Tyreek Hill is doing, what Tyreek Hill consistently has done week in and week out, is nobody else. Tyreek Hill is the MVP of the National Football League because that brother every single week, as you said, you could put 2 on him, you could bracket him, you could put a whole defensive line on him. If Tyreek Hill finds a way to get open, the minute Tua looks out his peripheral and sees the cheetah is on, that ball's in the air, no questions asked. And guess what? It's coming down only where Tyreek Hill can catch it and take it to the house. There is no. I have yet to see a defensive player catch him. I have yet to see someone, when he takes off and hits that second, third, fourth gear, whatever it is, someone be within 7 yards of Tyreek Hill. I feel he slows up just to keep the person in the camera. Tyreek Hill.
I'm going to come to Mike so Mike can tell us how Deron Bland should be in consideration.
No, thank you. That's a good funny lead in. No, he got beat up on this past Thursday, but
he was getting scorched.
He did. That's fine. Every corners have games like that, but he still came down with a pick when they needed it, and they got it. No, I would say that I'm with you, but I take McCaffrey first. No, nobody's McCaffrey. I even said when you said Tyreek Hill, I'm for it. It has nothing to do with picking on John, but my 3 would be McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, and still has the least amount of interceptions. His team's fine. His defense is playing well, but CJ Stroud I mean, I will put him third for his overall performance this year. Kid's a freaking rookie. You can roll your eyes all you want, John. He's got less picks than your boy too, and he threw 3 in one game to the Cardinals, who just went and beat the freaking Steelers. Figure that one out.
Steelers suck.
But anyway,
that was all James Conner. Let's call that what it is. James Conner came back to Pittsburgh.
He did, and
as an Arizona Cardinal, and said, "I'm going to remind you what I was able to do." So
right, and the 2-hour weather delay didn't help. I will say this. Tyree, when you're saying, and again, he's had huge games, and I lean towards McCaffrey because, yes, when people say, and it's a team game, so the quarterback gets the credit and blame when they haven't beat teams that are good. When they lost to Buffalo in Buffalo, Tyreek Hill he had less than 60 yards receiving. That was his worst game of the year, and the Bills defended him over the top. Unlike Washington, who obviously Ron Rivera doesn't want to be there, but just wants to get fired so he gets paid and not resign because you went man on man all day with him yesterday. That makes no sense. So, and to that point with you, Ray, like I love him, but nobody's McCaffrey. And now a full year, obviously with the trade, and we saw what he meant to the team, even when he had to play quarterback last year in Philly in the NFC Championship game. I just think it's McCaffrey's to lose, but it's going to be all the quarterback talk. And even with, I see Mike's comment, if the Cowboys beat the Eagles and Dak has another big game, like, yeah, since the Niners, we have to put like things in it. Since the Niners game, Dak has been good, but Christian McCaffrey.
How is that even how? How are you going to sit there, Mike Patton, and say that? No, put that back up on the screen.
Because please, a lot of people have said it.
Because your
best friend Dan Orlovsky has been pointing it out.
Break it down.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, but to me,
Dallas will be on a 6-game win streak, and I will take nothing away from his performance should he be successful. But I am not catapulting him over Tyreek. I'm not catapulting him over Brock Purdy. I'm not putting him over Tua. No, you can miss me with that one.
So really quick.
I'm just saying it's McCaffrey than everybody else.
I'm coming to you real quick, John, because I know you want to get your 2 cents in here. I would like to say this about 2 names that were just mentioned, right? If we go with the idea that it's a quarterback's award, right? The 2 names that have been mentioned so far have been C.J. Stroud and Dak Prescott. Eric, I know you hate the Dallas Cowboys, but just FYI, Dak Prescott has the 2nd highest completion percentage in the NFL. Dak Prescott is number 5 in yards in the NFL. Dak Prescott is number 1 in touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. And Dak Prescott has the 2nd highest passer rating in the NFL. Same thing with TJ Stroud, man. We're talking about a rookie who is leading the league in yards and yards per game with a 101 passer rating, which is good for 5th in the league. And he has a team that was just drafted. He has 5 interceptions.
Right, that's it.
Nobody else in the top 20 in attempts has that. Doesn't have more than 5, right? The only guy in the top 20 in yards who has 5 or less interceptions is Kirk Cousins, and he ain't played in 6 weeks.
Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's not top yards, but Lamar Jackson,
Well, he doesn't throw the ball.
No,
right? Like you got to throw the ball to get interceptions. Like Lamar has 5, but he only has
13.
2,600 yards and 13 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Stroud has 3,520 touchdowns. So when you throw the ball as much as he is as a rookie, and when you consider he threw 3 picks in one game, that means in the other 11 games, he got 2 picks. It's crazy, actually. Talk to me, John.
Alexa, please play Thunder Rolls because Ray stole all of my thunder. With everything you went off with Dak, I appreciate you just jumping right in front like somebody trying to pick off, Jalen Hurts yesterday in that game. You jumped right in front. Man, stole all my thunder. I was going to talk all about Dak, go on this long spiel. Dak is, and he's right. Mike Patton's right about Dak. The only reason we're not saying Dak is MVP, because he leads the league in basically every stat. 26 touchdowns, 6 picks. It doesn't get much better than that. The only reason he's not being named MVP is because that team in Philadelphia leads the division. If the Cowboys were 10-3 and the Eagles were 9-4, Dak would be the front runner for MVP. But because we said it before, winning matters. The best team typically gets their guy the MVP. That's how it works in sports. So since they don't lead their own division, and they're not a 1 seed, they're not a 2 seed, they're not a 3 seed, not a 4 seed, they're a 5 seed, you're not going to put a 5 seed, a guy on a 5 seed as the MVP. It's just the way it works. I know they're 9-3, but if they beat the Eagles, he's right. They'll automatically jump up. He'll be right in that MVP conversation. He'll be right
How
at the
will they
top
be?
there.
Okay, explain that one to me, Mr. Analyst, because
Because he'll be
should
tied with
Dallas
the
be
Eagles.
successful, we would have split the division. We both lost to San Francisco. So tell
Yes,
me how.
exactly.
Tell me how we beat Kansas City and we beat Buffalo.
Because they'll be on the same playing field as you, and once they get on the
And you
same
beat
playing
Miami.
field, then Dak's stats
And
come
we
into
beat
play.
Miami.
That Dak's stats will come into play once they catch the Eagles in
All
record.
right. Okay.
So if they beat the Eagles,
right.
when they beat
No,
the Eagles
that's
Sunday
you know
night,
what? That's fine. That's fine.
it
You keep
will
talking.
become
listen,
the MVP.
Just keep running your lips, because I'm gonna tell you right now. Should that come to fruition, I'm gonna be even more upset than I already am, and we already know this. But make no mistake about it. We go into Jerry World Sunday night. I'm sorry, not me, because I'm an armchair quarterback. Okay. If the Philadelphia Eagles, when they go into Dallas on Sunday night, when they go into Dallas on Sunday night for Sunday Night Football, when they go into Dallas on Sunday night for Sunday Night Football against a divisional opponent to remain first in the NFC, not just in the division, but in the entire conference, I want you to come on here next Monday night and admit, John Shear, that my team is better than the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care what Mike has to say.
You can have
I
Mike
want to hear
admit it
from
for
your
me.
lips.
Well, you're going to hear from my lips if the Cowboys win at home. You're going to hear
Mike,
a lot then.
Bottom line, you and I have been doing this for 18 years,
I know.
bro. Okay? If you should be so successful, I'm going to sit here like I did tonight, and you could put that whole thing back up right here. I will sit there, and you can put that up. You can put that up. You can do whatever it is you need to do to say about me. Okay?
But Eric, how can you ignore the guy who has the second and third place is Tua and Josh Allen, 24 touchdowns. Next is 23, Brock Purdy. How can you ignore Dak has 26? Nobody's like, the closest is 2 away, and he only has 6 picks, and he's complete 70% of his passes. Like, what more do you want?
One game is going to catapult him into being a leader.
One game. Look at his last bunch of games.
Then why ain't we talking about him now, John? You the only one talking about him.
Because he doesn't lead his division.
Exactly.
And winning matters.
So
that's why.
You tell me he wins,
John, but that's the way this works.
Now you're going to start talking about him.
Just like MVP won't go to a receiver.
Talk about him week 2. Talk about him week 8 when he's actually doing stuff. He's been doing this all season long. But now we want to throw his name in the mix. Get out of here.
You asked the question, I answered.
No. Eric, Vegas did change the odds because Dak went to
scared of who?
You're scared of Dallas.
Scared of who?
Oh, John.
Okay. All right. Okay. John, I'm telling you right now, you got one more time.
You cannot handle 2 whoopings in a row from Big Guard and Mike back-to-back weeks. You can't handle it. You cannot handle it.
John, how long have you known me, John? How long have you known me, John?
I've known you for a couple years, but you've never had back-to-back beatdowns by Big Guard.
John, are you seriously going to sit? Don't, John. I almost said.
So, hey, real quick. So listen. I just want to say this, right?
Boy, if you get
Mike Patton and other people's points in the chat that it is a quarterback's award. For the most part, that is true. I will, however, say that I don't believe I don't believe there's been a time in recent memory where it was this wide open that it's doable. Like, if you look at the quarterbacks that have won recently, like Mahomes, both years he won it. He threw for 5,000 yards. One year was 5,050 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers had like 48 touchdowns. Another year he had like 30-something touchdowns and only 3 or 4 picks. Like, they were like otherworldly numbers. And the year Lamar won, what he was doing with his legs, right? There isn't a quarterback to separate himself from the pack. Think about it. We're in week 12, and the leader has 26 touchdowns. That's about 2 and some change a game. So that's putting you on pace for about 33, 34 touchdowns. So nobody's going to throw 40. Nobody's going to throw for 5,000 yards. There's not a quarterback averaging 300 yards per game right now. Nobody's putting up any otherworldly stats, right? Like, I can make a case for Jalen Hurts before yesterday. I can make a case for Brock Purdy. I can make a case for C.J. Stroud. Mahomes was in the conversation. No quarterback is pulling away. But when I tell you that the kind of year McCaffrey is having, right, if you look at the running backs that have won it, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, AP, Barry Sanders, he's having one of those kind of seasons where he's so far and away better than other running backs and as an offensive player. And Tyreek Hill is in that same conversation. Tyreek Hill's probably going to break the record, right? And it's not like the year just a couple years ago where Kupp won the Triple Crown and you had quarterbacks playing otherworldly. This is the year where no quarterback is separating themselves from the field. So it's wide open. I generally believe, I think Tyreek or McCaffrey is going to win it. I really do. And Miami is Miami first or second right now?
If Jacksonville loses, we'll hold the 1 seed. We hold it right now before this game ends. We hold it over the Ravens. We're tied with them. We have the tiebreaker. So we're the 1 seed as of right now. Heading in tonight, we were. If Jacksonville loses, we will guarantee hold the 1 seed heading into this coming week.
Well, I will tell you this much. If it was up to me, right, win or lost this game, right, who win or lose this game, don't matter. Jacksonville just lost their starting quarterback. They can't be the 1 seed because I said so. Me and my committee said Jacksonville just lost their starting quarterback.
You had to go there.
Therefore, they can't possibly be the 1 seed going.
They can't win the division.
Don't have their starting quarterback. I'm gonna pull an audible real quick and just very briefly, right? We're going to go to overtime just for one subject, and we'll make this quick, kind of an around the horn type deal. And I have a question. I'm gonna come to John last because I think I know how he feels about it. I'm gonna come to Eric first. Eric, we can make this. Nope, I'll save him for another day. Is it time for Belichick to pack it up?
In New England, yes.
Okay. Just that simple, huh? What you got,
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a little bit over 2-decade run, 23-year run for him there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, look, and it's not the same players. It's not like, college, right, where guys transfer and it's like maybe, you want to hear a new voice and, it's just not going anymore. The high school coach has been around for like 30, 40 years. People are like, oh, we love him. But like, I mean, I think it is time for him to go in New England. I think it's his time. I think he's just, I don't know. I'd never be sad if I had not hear another press conference of his acting like the world just came to an end or, I get it. You don't want to lose. You're in a profession. You're getting paid a ton of money, and he's done a lot of winning, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, I would say I'm with Eric. It's time to get out of New England and, maybe just take, like Parcells did at the end, take those high-paying consulting gigs and start stocking cabinets for people.
John, I'm going to flip the question. It's in the same vein, but I want to pose it to you in this way. For years, the conversation was how much is Brady, how much is Belichick, right? And what has since happened since the departure of Brady, how much does that shift that argument in your mind?
I don't think it shifts it at all. I think it just shows how bad of a GM he is because they gave him full control as a GM, and he has no idea what he's doing in that regard. He knows talent, but he's not a GM. And I think the GM part has it's been a mistake by New England, but obviously a guy that's won 6 Super Bowls for you, you kind of give him whatever he wants. So, I mean, but he's burned it to the ground, and I think the only thing that he wants from here on out is Don Shula's record. And so I think part of him is sabotaging this so he gets fired and goes to a good team so he can get that record. Because if he goes to the Chargers, it's a perfect time to go to the Chargers. And you'll win a lot of games on the Chargers, a lot of games with Justin Herbert, because you get that clown out of there and you put Belichick in, that team is instantly dangerous in the AFC. And he'll win a lot of games and he'll pass Don Shula. Because he's not passing Don Shula in New England. It's not happening with this roster. And he'll have to retire because of his age before he ever gets a Shula in New England. So if he gets fired, he's smart like that. If he gets fired and goes to a really good team like the Chargers, I almost said San Diego, he'll easily pass Shula. That's the only thing he's fighting for at this point. Because Don Shula called him a cheater, I believe it was in 2007, and he's never forgotten that.
Oh, of course not. John, I'll say this. Sorry, Ray.
I'll say this, and then I'll come to you, Mike. I don't think coaching is overrated, right? But I will say there's no such thing as good coaches without good players, right? You have to have talent, right? It's hand in hand. But I think great players can overcome bad coaching more so than bad coaching can overcome bad players, or good coaching can overcome bad players, right? Like you look at the history of sports, you don't see great coaches winning with trash, right? Like all the great coaches' names are tied to great players, right? Bill Belichick, his success is tied to Tom Brady. Somebody sent me a message today and said, hey, man, is it time for Popovich to hang it up? And I'm like, he can clearly coach, right? People expect that, Tim Duncan won early. Yeah, Tim Duncan was a 4-year player in college. This kid is 19. You know what I mean? Like Popovich can coach. He won 60 games after Duncan left. Coaches can coach, right? You just have to have the talent. Phil Jackson's success is tied to Michael Jordan and Kobe and Shaq, right? You have to have the talent. So the Patriots aren't very talented right now. That's what it boils down to. They're not very talented. So if you look at Bill Belichick and say, hey, he's old, okay, they need a new voice. I don't know how you feel about that, but the man can clearly coach. You don't go from calling a man a genius some odd years ago to all of a sudden, he ain't got Brady. He ain't. Well, man, look, the man was just in the playoffs a couple of years ago. What did they do the year Cam was there? Did they make the playoffs? Or they won a lot of games, right? It was like we've seen him go to the playoffs with Matt Castle, right? Like we've seen him win games with other guys. But this team just isn't very talented. This ain't your grandfather's Patriots. You know what I mean? Like this is it's just, they're not very good, man.
Hold on. I also think it's disingenuous to Bill Belichick to just dismiss everything he's ever done because he no longer has Brady. So it's like, well, he wasn't very good. I just think that's so disingenuous to what he's accomplished.
Right. And to your points before, like, yeah, I mean, they also had, and like Ray, like you're saying, I'm not saying that their groups of defenses were this Niners defense that we're seeing the last few years, but many a times they had no lower than a top 3 defense in those Super Bowl runs and those division runs. They had no lower than actually a top 5 defense because I looked that up. They had no lower than a top 5 defense. So I will say as a GM on the offensive side, John, the only thing I would agree with you there on the defensive side. No, I mean, the guys
he knows
drafted,
defense.
What I'm saying is as a GM on the defensive side, what he's done his whole time there, like, I mean, remember when they let go of Willie McGinnis, everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? And it's like a year or two before. And he did that with a few players, like a year or two before. And then they got big deals. And yeah, their first year, like McGinnis looked great in Oakland with the Raiders. And then I'm not saying he completely fell off, but the next year after that, it was just kind of like average middle of the road numbers for what he had done his whole career. So people are like, oh, Belichick's a genius. I'll just say offensively, yes, he is not drafted well because to our point, when we go back to Mike Tomlin, John, this is especially for you because they did a whole thing on Steelers drafting receivers when Big Ben was there and Brady was there and the Patriots drafting receivers. And it's not that those Steelers receivers, we all know this. They weren't first round picks, Ray. Not all of them. I think there was like 1 or 2.
Antonio Brown was a 5th round pick. Yeah.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Those, I mean, but you can go back to like Plaxico Burress and those guys like, Belichick drafting receivers when he, to your point, got control was absolutely terrible. Steelers are hitting on 5th round guys that, a few years later, they go get contracts and then they draft another like 3rd round dude. Like, so offensively, that's the only thing. And Eric knows my obviously disdain for Brady and the Patriots. But that being said, respect to what he did defensively. Offensively, the man like needed a consultant or an assistant GM that was in charge of offense. I'll give you that, John. But yeah, to say he can't coach and he's done. I mean, yeah, if he ended up with the Chargers on the beach hanging out with his girlfriends and stuff, those pictures that we saw, whatever. But he goes to the Chargers. Yeah, I mean that's
real interesting
because of the defense. But look at the defense he's going to inherit.
Well, it's been another one. It's been real. It's been fun. It's even been real fun. For those of y'all that kicked it with us all night, we appreciate y'all. We went into overtime a little bit, and we will be back next week, next Monday. Until next Monday, this man will continue to be a beaten, battered, shattered, broken shell of a man. Is what he is.
No. I am licking my wounds today. John, shut up. I am licking my wounds today. Okay. Tomorrow is a brand new day, and I have to prepare for 18 years. Eagles week, which is the best matchup in all of the National Football League. It is Sunday night. It is in Jerry World. And guess what? We're going to see how the Philadelphia Eagles respond. We're either going to show up or we're not.
Oh, you get showed up.
As our brother Alex Fleming would always say on his show, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, either you on or you off. We're going to see what happens Sunday night.
I promise that is the perfect segue. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get out of here, shout out to the crew, Mr. John Shear, Mr. Michael Caratanudo, Mr. Eric Wilson, and your boy, the sports reporter, I'll pay. Eric, audible for you. I don't know why this was on my mind, on my heart to do. We're not going to play the outro music just as we get out of here. We're going to show some love and pay homage to one of the real ones, one of the dudes who is the reason a lot of people are here. Shout out. Rest in peace to Mr.